Hey, Shaggy SoCal with 2Old4Forza, and stand by. I'm going to resync mic with audio. So, gotta shut the headset off, turn it back on. There we go. I think we're back. Hey, Shaggy SoCal with 2Old4Forza. Time for the next track guides for upcoming this Thursday's upcoming races at Silverstone, which is where I'm at now, and then the next one will be at Monza. Sorry I couldn't make the two races at Le Mans and Brands Hatch, but sometimes work has to take precedence since it pays for all the fun stuff I do online. So with that, again, we're at first race at Silverstone. I'm just going to hop in, run a couple of laps, just to refamiliarize myself. I'll talk a little bit about through it. Then I'll do the slow kind of track walk, turn by turn, where I'll point out the things that I'm noticing as far as what the car wants to do, what seems to work, to get the car around for a lap. And then I'll do kind of a mock race, what I think is going to be race distance against some AI to just solve some traffic situations and can show you what not to do in the race. So with that, let me go ahead and get started, and let's go ahead and do the test drive. All right, so heading up here, turn one, I believe is Abbey, and certainly won't be up to speed, but I think fourth gear through here, a little cold tires, a little push there. Might be able to wind out in fourth, might be able to put it in fifth, up to you. Down to second. You know, line's pretty good there. It's a late apex. Keep it to the left. Not the left, to the right, for the left. Oh boy, I'm out of practice. A little short shift there. Use the curbing. Curbing is knowing which curbs you can abuse and which ones you can't are going to be key here as well. Down to third. I always take, at least initially, I take a wider entry in. I might follow the guidance there. Third gear. Let's drop it to second. Yeah, it's going to be, controller users are going to love that turn, but for those of us still on the wheel, that one's going to be problematic. And the cops. Oh, a little bit late. And the Maggots and Beckett's. And on to the hangar straight. And finish out the lap here. We'll do one more, just so we can do, Abbey at speed. Always slow through there. A little bit better. A little conservative on the braking there, or at least, probably slow down a little bit more than I needed to. Let's keep it in third this time. A little bit better. Late. Hmm. I wonder if I can do that in fourth. I'll get that figured out eventually. Okay, so that's just a couple quick out laps of Silverstone. So let's kind of break down kind of what I'm trying to do, what I think the car wants. And yes, I am continuing with my little track maps so I can sound even more impressive on corner names. But turn one, Abbey. I like again. I talk about the feeling of the car, whether you want it on its toes or on its heels. I'm finding I'm finding I actually like it is a quick break, and I think usually for me it's a quick break right about where the extra pavement starts to go out here on the left side. But this is a very quick dab of the brake. I actually like downshifting just to get the higher gearing. It puts a little bit more weight on the front of the car. The car feels like it's got a better turn in. It's got a little more point to it than if you try to leave it in fifth through here. Um, but ideally, what I want to try to do is whether I do it fourth or fifth is I think the rule here is a lot of these inside curbs, if you can abuse them and drop some tires, cross over and use the inside curbing, um, Silverstone seems to be it's safe, fairly safe to do that. Outside curbing, maybe different story, but definitely the inside curbing. I want to try and get tires on here if I can. Late apex that, bring the car will come back out. If you find, I mean, ideally, since it's a left-right combo, ideally I don't want to come all the way to the left side of the course. I want to try and keep it, try and keep it in the middle if I can, off Abbey into this next. What's the next one here? Farm is what they call it. So Abbey to Farm. Um, so for Farm, I don't want to be all the way to the left side. Maybe the Formula One guys do that, but they've got a heck of a lot more downforce to work with. So I'm, at best mid track, I might cheat a little bit to the left. If you find that you're all the way to the left side as you're trying to go through Farm, again, if you hold the gas, the car's just going to understeer out to the right side. You're going to get out of the groove. So if you find yourself all the way to the inside going into Farm, you might just want to lift the throttle a little bit. You'll be in fourth gear. At least I'm in fourth gear through here. This is where just even, if I'm holding the throttle, just I don't use manual clutch on the wheel. So just even that upshift to fifth cuts the throttle enough that the car will get a little bit more, get a little bit grip on the front um, just in that moment. So um, I'm sure I'm going to have moments with that during the race. But ideally, you want to get it to the left side here and try and keep it to the left side. And I don't come out any more than half track if you can help it. If you do find yourself going all the way over to the right side, maybe bring it. I, it might just be best just to bring it back to the left a little bit and brake, and then just kind of salvage arena here for turn three. Um, but ideally, keep the car on the left side. You're going to brake. Braking line kind of correlates if you get a good run. It's going to correlate with right about where the curving on the left side starts. So from here, fifth gear, if you wind it out in fourth, that's fine. For me, regardless, I'm dropping it all the way down to second, trying to get the braking done before the blend line. And then, as I said, it kind of on the outlap, the guidance line is actually pretty good here. You do want to late apex this corner so that you exit on the right side of the course as you roll back into the throttle. Um, you know, the less you have to worry about trying to do extreme weight transfers left to right or get the car from one side of the track to the other in a short span of time, the better. So if it sacrifices a little bit of exit speed to keep the car on the right side and set up for turn four, that's better. You probably get back in the gas a little bit, still second gear. I'm going to brake right about where the curving starts on the right side. And this one is notorious. I will probably miss this more times than not, but I'm actually going to try and get, again, it's kind of a late apex. It's an awkward turn because it is, just looking at the track map, on the corner there. I mean, it's kind of like it's an increasing radius turn, so it's a really tight entry. It'll open up a little bit on the exit, but um, get on the inside curving there, roll back into the throttle, bring the car out to the right side. I'm actually going to upshift to third right at the blend line here, at the cross line there. So it's a short shift, and as soon as I cross that, that's also my cue to get my eyes up and spot that apex. Now, On my own, you're gonna have the braking line if you use it. You're gonna have that little bit of extra help to kind of guide you to where the apex is. But the sooner you can spot that apex and start guiding the car towards it, full throttle, right about as you're going to get to the apex, you're going to be at the top of third gear. So, um, if you want, if you shift up to fourth, or if you want to short shift early, it's up to you. Just know that if you're not using manual with clutch, if you're just doing manual, you will feel, because it's going to cut the throttle just for that split second. You may feel as you're turning in, the car turn just a little bit more in that for that moment until until the gear shift finishes and you're back accelerating. Um, this is one I think I would imagine where a lot of time penalties are going to occur, because either you're going to turn in early and you're going to cut this, or you're going to miss the apex entirely and go wide. So I would say, the ideal scenario is, you're going to use a bit of this inside curve to get onto the Wellington Straight. You'll probably come out here a little bit, probably drop tires a little bit on the outside curve. It's not, you'll feel it upset the car, but it's not horrible. But if you're going into and that is turn five, if you're doing turn five there and you've missed that inside apex entirely and you think the car's going to go wide, just you don't have to panic. Just crack the throttle a little bit, just to take some transfer some of that weight back to the front. It should then come back into line. You should be able to roll back into it. If you do go wide, you've got enough runoff area to kind of get the car set and merge it back onto the track, and then just make sure you keep it on the right side, so that you don't hit anybody as you come back across. And like a highway merge, try and be as straight with the straightaway as you can. So let's head down the straight here to Brooklands is the next. So you'll be in top gear here for this, and I forget where the braking line starts, but usually I try to correlate the braking line with the curbing on the inside here, depending on the car. Sometimes I'm looking at the signboard, to try and match up. Like if I can't see the braking line, what markers are outside outside or off the track that I can use. So sometimes it is the turn board there. Um, sometimes it is the discoloration or the red coloring on the Armco on the right side. Whatever works for you. But this is also early on. So when I hit the brakes here, I am going to drop it down to third, into Brooklands. Yes, I got that right. My initial laps, I tend to, you'll see, for my initial laps, I will, I'll keep it straight just a smidge longer than the braking line suggests, and that's just more my own habits. I like getting my braking done fully in a straight line as much as possible, and then kind of then release the brakes, roll into the throttling, and then balance at that point on turn in. I'm balancing the car with the throttle through the turn versus trying to trail brake into the apex and then use the throttle and exit. So difference in just philosophies, as far as what I do versus what you can do. Probably as I get more comfortable, I'll in the braking here, I'll probably start to cheat a little bit where I will brake, but I'll start to turn the wheel a little bit and maybe follow that line in a little bit more, as far as the guidance line, a little more religiously. But um, that's just my general philosophy. But I still do a third gear turn in. I am looking to do a late apex on here, kind of about where the tire barrier is. Bring the car back across, and usually I will hug the inside, heading into what is this, Luffield. Um, Still third gear. This this could be third gear or second gear. And if you're on a wheel, I would probably say if you can get comfortable doing it in third, I think we'll have better options on exit, especially if you're not running traction control. If you're on a controller, you could do this in second gear. And it's not so much the entry, because usually I'll have it to the almost to the inside of the right side at entry, and I'll let the car come out a little bit, and then I'll bring it back across to late apex on the way out. But it's getting back to throttle. If you do it in second on a wheel and you're trying to roll back into the throttle, uh, probably looking right about here. I don't have a specific reference I'm looking for. It's for me, it's mostly done by feel, what feels comfortable, and so you'll probably see me playing with the throttle, like, okay, give it a little throttle. What's the car doing? What's the car doing? Um, on a controller, if you're in second gear, you could probably get away with, even in third, you can get away with stabbing the throttle a little bit, being a little more aggressive and spin up the rear tires and kind of use that to kind of finish rotating the car out of the corner. And you just do a little flick of the stick, counter steer, and then off you're going. It's a little bit more difficult to do that with the wheel. So it might be one of those. If you do it in second, as you're rolling back into the throttle, just be aware it is possible to spin the rear tires up here coming out of this corner. You might have to do a little counter steer. Um, so that's what I'm saying. If you can do it in third, it's a little bit low in the rev range, but I think you get a little bit more play on the throttle on exit. So I'll be playing around with it in the mock race here just to see what I think will work best for me. I'm thinking right now it's third, but it might be second. And it might be a decision. On my own, it might be third. In traffic, I might have to go to second just to be able to check up. So up to third, up to fourth, I think even up to fifth, heading down to Cops. Old Turn 1 in Old Silverstone. Braking is, I haven't, again, I've been probably relying a little too much on the braking line here, but I'm always looking at, the pit stands here on the inside. Does it go red and does it line up nicely with one of those? I think it lines up with that one pretty well. But this one, it is a very quick brake. It's not a heavy brake, but it is, you're going to want to give it a quick brake to get, to slow the car down a little bit, get some weight on the front tires. This one, I have been doing it in fourth, and it's kind of the same thing of like for turn one, is I want to pop it up into fourth just to get the gearing to put a little more weight in the front of the car and to help slow the car down and give it a little bit better turn in. Because what I find here, I ran some laps on controller, and this is one of those Forza things that I've noticed with the controller over the years is with normal steering on a controller, there's always a moment like when I brake and I turn in, I release the brake and I start rolling the throttle. There's always a moment on the controller of push where it's like, but I find in the controller it's always a little slow off center. But then I think there's a limit to how far the game will actually let the front tires turn. But it always kind of creates just that moment of push, on entry, as the weight gets set on the left side of the car for here. And then as soon as that moment hits and the front tires grip up, then I know I can roll back in the throttle. It's harder to actually feel that with the wheel, but then, the wheel gives me a little bit more precise control. So I won't feel the understeer as much, but there is a bit of a push on entry. And that's, the long story short, that's why I like to drop it to fourth. It just helps get more front grip on the front grip on the front tires. Hey, front grip on the rear tires. Let's try that. So it is quick tap of the brakes. I'm finding I'm releasing the brakes as I get to the end of the wall here on the inside, and turning in. And if I do it right, again, I'm going to try and use the inside curb as much as I possible. As soon as I come off the curb, I should be able to roll back into the throttle and heading down towards Maggots and Beckett's. More often than not, I'm probably going to push wide on exit, but you are going to bring it all the way out to the left side, bring the car back across to the right side, and set it for Maggots and Beckett's. So I want the car on the right side by the time I get to the curving here. And as I get to the end of this curving is when I'm going to start turning in, and I'm trying to line my entry point. I'm trying to line it up so that I'm like, if I were to go straight, I would clip the curving on the left side and the right side for the next curving. So that's kind of the line, the direction I'm pointing the car. Still fifth gear here, still full throttle. As I get to this curving, it's a quick brake, and I'm going to drop it to fourth here for the entry into Maggots. Settle the car in off the brake, maybe starting to goose the throttle. Going to try and use curving here on the inside, still fourth gear, keep it in the middle of the track, maybe a little gas, maybe not. Lift, turn the car in, use a lot of the curving as much as I can get away with here. Down, and then just right about where the curbing starts on the right side, it'll correlate right with the braking line. This is where you'll do another quick brake, drop it to third, and turn in for Beckett's. And I'm going to use as much of the inside curbing here as possible. That tire bundle probably is not going to be there on Thursday with race rags. And then roll back into the throttle, and I'm going to use all of the exit here to get onto the hanger straight, use the inside curbing there if I need to. Up third, fourth, fifth. So again, the rules seems to be here is you can get away with, and you should try to use as much of the inside curbing as you can. But fifth gear heading up to Stowe. And I always, and I have my short-term memory. I'm getting old. Um, a lot of times, I think the braking. I think by the time the use you, if you use the braking line, use it. I'll pay a little closer attention to what lines up with the braking line. But usually, the things I'm trying to, as far as to find static references. Usually, I'm trying to say where does it turn red, in relation to the braking board behind me there, in relation to the curbing here. So the braking's probably, if I remember correctly, the braking's going to be a little bit past somewhere around where that board is. So let me pay attention in the mock race. Though I think the intent is, I want to get my braking done before I get to the end of this curbing. And for me, it's a late turn in. I'll probably turn in a little bit later than the game suggests. Bring the car across, probably third gear, might try it in fourth, late apex, roll back in the throttle all the way out to the left side, use a little of the curbing there, just let the car naturally come back across to the right side as it kinks to the left, and then braking for, and what do they call this last bit? Okay, so I'm coming down Vale, and it just says turn 16, 17, and 18 is club. So 16, I'm going to try and have the car over here to the right side. And these last three, I'm notoriously slow. I haven't quite figured out. Just in general, I'm notoriously slow through these corners. I've never really figured out the ideal line. But what I'm trying to do is bring the car down, brake, 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 second gear, and because it's the left-right combo, I'm going to try and sacrifice the entry here to keep the car as much to the left as possible. Is that going to happen in the race? No. I'm probably going to be more often than not. I'm going to be on the right. I'm going to carry too much speed in, and the car is going to push to the right side of the track. But if I do it right, I'm going to sacrifice the entry here to get the car to the left, at least keep it mid-track, maybe start to roll back in. I think if I'm in second gear here, I think it's a short shift to third with a quick lift of the throttle and back on at the apex of 17, bring the car out, probably another quick shift up to fourth. And this is the one I have hard time with. So I'm going to do it slow. What I'm going to try and do is I might have to lift the throttle a little bit to help the car turn in. And maybe the short shift to fourth isn't good because it puts the car a little more on its heels. We'll see how we work it out. But ideally, you might have to feather the throttle to get it turned in. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to, nail that inside curbing, try and get tires on it so that I can really hit the throttle out. Now, I'm pointed a little more straight than probably what I'll be in the race. But to really be able to get back to throttle, be on full throttle at the apex, if not even a little bit before. Like the second I can get that car rotated so I can go full throttle through 18 onto the front stretch, that's speed I can carry down, maybe set up a pass into Abbey. But then, kind of let the car go all the way out here to the left side. And that's a lap to Silverstone. So that's kind of what I think is going to work. Again, this will make this since I'm advocating using a lot of inside curving on a lot of turns. It is going to be high risk, high reward as far as track limits. So again, do that at your own risk. But let's go ahead and finish the test drive and get into the mock race. Go ahead and finish the test drive. Da, da, da. And again, I think in some of my initial laps on the controller and I looked at what Matt calculated out. I think 17 laps is probably the magic number for a Thursday. So I'll run a 17 lap race. Let's go ahead and get started. Oh, and again, I'm still doing hey, I've got all these mods that I've never used in Forza 7 in 6 years. So let me see if I can burn some of them before for the next game comes out. So my challenges here are, let's see, what did I select for this one? 6 perfect turns. I might be able to do that. Stay on track for the race. I won't be able to do that. And then 5 perfect drafts. So we're going to see, or 5 good drafts, not perfect, good drafts. So I might be able to get some of that with some of the slower traffic on the Wellington Straight or the Hangar Straight, but we'll see how that goes. Let's go ahead and start race. So again, for me trying to simulate the Thursday race with different buckets and different classes of cars, bucket 1 starting up front is the Formula 70s division this car's in. They're definitely slower than I am. I have made a change. Bucket 2 here with the P2 cars. I had been starting them at 30 seconds behind. the lead, but I'm actually going to have them start at 15. So they should be going here any second now. There they go. I'm still going to start at 58 seconds. The idea is I want them to start working through traffic. If that means they get to the lead, great. That might give me and the cars behind me, some traffic to race through at the end of the race. Race through at the end of the race. Good English there. Who's behind me? Looks like I've got an Audi, a Peugeot, and a Porsche. That should be good. Should be a good race. They're starting 2 seconds behind me. Um, I think I've got some advantages here at the first half of the lap, just how I take the corners versus the drivatars, but they definitely have a big advantage on the back half of the course. So we'll see how that plays out, especially when we catch the slower cars in front of us. Cold tires, cold gear. A little bit of push there. Second gear. So I kind of knew as I was getting to the apex, I knew I was going to push wide, so just back out of the throttle a little bit, try and salvage the exit as best I can. Got a little more front grip than I was expecting. Now, this is the fun part with them at left field. If you saw the rearview mirror, that they seem to have a problem with me. If they catch me at that corner, they go a little bit wide into the gravel. Oh, that's late. And a little bit late back to the throttle. That would be a time penalty there. I probably could have gotten the throttle a little bit earlier, let the cars push out a little bit, but how long we can hold these guys off. Okay, so braking, now that I'm paying attention, braking for Stowe is right about where the curbing does start, and it's just a quick brake. Yeah, it's so tempting to try and get to full throttle and keep it full throttle. We just don't have the grip at the front of the car to do that. Come on, come on, come on. That could have been a lot better, but one of them, whoa, wow, it looked like one of them went into the wall back there. Still late there. Probably need to brake a little bit earlier. Oh, wow, he's right there. I don't think I need to go defensive yet, though. He's got much better brakes than I do. Okay, so braking for Stowe is a little bit before the curbing starts on the left side, and I'm finishing and turning in at the end of the curb on that same left side. Probably figure that out before the end of the race. late there. And late there. Oh, that actually wasn't too bad. Yeah. A little overzealous on the throttle, and that's going to really cost me here. I'm just going to move to a little bit of a fade to the inside, make him think about it. Oh, he's still going to try it. Wow, nice pass. I'm going to go to second, and hopefully I don't spin the rear tires up. Yeah, I think, at least for me on the wheel, I think third is probably better. Because the other thing too is I'm shifting so soon out of the corner that it's that philosophy. If I'm having to upshift before I fully exited the corner, I should probably be able to do it in the higher gear. And even Maggots and Beckett's, I mean, if you want to go in fifth, you've got some options there. That's probably about as well as I'm going to be able to do that. Oh. Too aggressive on the turn in. A little bit early there. And that was, yeah. So I'm really don't follow this example. This is really bad. The Audi's getting much better drive out of that corner. Might be able to make a little up through Maggots and Beckett's. Almost. Yeah, I'm turning in too early there for Abby. So maybe I'll rethink that one next time around, see if I can. A little lift of the throttle just to help keep the car on track. Okay, we're catching slower traffic now, so things should kind of fall back into my favor because I'm a little bit better in traffic than the driver tires are. Oh, what are you doing? They were in the pit lane. There was no need for you to slow down like that. Okay, note to self. Be careful following cars on track if there are other cars going into pit lane. Got a really nice run, but not close enough to try and stuff it here in Brooklands. Let's leave it in third. Ah! Gotta watch that exit curving, especially if you still have steering dialed in. I could have timed that a little better, but I'm still clear. Back off a little bit because we are all now getting caught up in traffic. Wide there. Yeah, we're on our hawk, but we're a little slow to get up to speed. I just need to be a little bit gentler on the turn in, a little bit later on the turn in. I think I'll be fine there. And I'm kind of comparing my line with the suggested line. I'm definitely turning in early for that first part of it, that sharp left at Arena. Yeah, just be careful of the exit curbing there, because you hit it wrong and you have too much. You have enough steering still in the wheel, and it might upset the back of the car. Yourself a little space. I don't run into the back of it. Fine here, yep. Still there. An interesting place to, I don't think an ideal place to make a pass, but I got the Ford Daytona prototype up ahead. Given the pace I can run at, might catch him by stove. Not stove. Something like that. Just partial throttle in the middle of Maggots and Beckett's. Stowe with a W. We're in the pits, which is something I should probably do here as well. So we'll box it into next lap. It's me not paying attention to what gear I'm in. Fifth gear is actually, well, now that at least on the wheel, fifth gear I think is actually pretty good there for Abby. That was a risk. I was like, okay, is he gonna muscle me out to the outside like that? Well, yes, but only because I put myself in that position. All right, so we'll box this lap. Victor might be pretty good there too. Yeah, see, in fourth gear, because the car's the weight's a little bit more on the back end of the car, it'll push a little bit more. You could do fourth out of Maggots and Beckett's. The car will probably push that little bit. Don't hit me. I'm still here. I'm gonna pit anyway. And I'll coast it in to be a little fair to the driver charge, since you know, they don't scream into the pits at full throttle until the game catches them. So Silverstone, probably one of the easiest pit in and pit outs in the game, as far as it's easy to get in. There's no tricky things you have to do, like say like at Le Mans Bugatti. And the exit puts you right out on the right side of the track, heading to turn 3. So let's see where we cycle out at. Of course, you know, you gotta keep it on track when you exit pit lane. Okay, now for me to have any shot, I think a podium is possible, because I think it was the either the Peugeot or the Porsche. One of them totally just clouded the wall out of left field, and I don't know if they ever made that time back up. But the P1 cars have to be able to clear traffic and then just clock fast laps. I'm not paying attention. Set up a little wider, and nope, that did not work the way I wanted it to, but that's okay. He's going to slide to the right. Thank you. check up a little bit. There's the Audi. Yep. Rotor hog is still there. Oh, that could have been a lot better. That was... Side by side in Maggots and Beckett's. I'm out here, excuse me. Put me offline a little bit, but I can kind of recover by here. And then go completely wide on exit. A little too much on the inside there. Okay, the other P1 cars looks like they're in clear air, so I've got the Audi taking a look. Tell you what, how about you go wide on exit here? That would be nice. Oh, nope. Gonna make me earn this third place. Because at this point, you know, for as long as those the other two P1 cars stay out, you know, and they're in clear air, they're gonna run lap times much quicker than I can. I got nothing. That was a desperate move to me to try to defend the inside, but yeah, nothing. The only thing I can hope to do is maybe, so long as the couple of the slower cars in front of us, if they've already made their pit, then I might be able to get the position back through traffic. Wow, nice pass by the Audi. I just caught the Brabham at the wrong time. I need the opposite to happen. I need you to get stuck behind slower traffic and let me catch up. I'm catching the slower traffic at all the wrong times. Just got the right sides off track a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna take a look. I'm gonna take a dive. That was a bit of a lunge, I admit. I just turned a little too early there. Just stabby on the throttle, spun the rears up a little. That's late. All right, let's see where we're at. There's another couple of tents out there, I think. Let's see if I can get them since I'm not going to catch the P1 cars in front of me. See if I can get cops right this time. Okay. I'll take it. I think what happened is the leading P1 car, that's the one that wrecked early in the race at Luffield, and just had clear traffic. Dirty right at the end. That's going to be a time penalty easily in the race. All right, that's Silverstone. So yeah, 17 laps. That's 34-minute race. Yeah, it'll probably be about that. Wouldn't be surprised if we actually drop that off. Maybe take a lap off of it, just given bucket delays and like that. But that's Silverstone in the Ferrari 312 T2. Should be a good race. Again, I think the hardest part is just controlling the wheel spin, out of the slower corners at the beginning of the lap, and then down at the far end. But again, a couple of nice long straights and some flowing sections. It should be a good race. So I'm going to take a little quick break, and I'll come back and do the track guide for Monza. So hope you guys are having a good weekend so far. Happy racing and talk to you soon.